Welcome to Greek for a Week. I'm glad that you are continuing to walk through the study of First Peter with me. This week I'm starting a larger paragraph discussion. You'll see here I'm just doing two verses, chapter 2, verses 11 through 12. But really, I'm going to go all the way through the rest of chapter 2. And I'm going to basically use the heading Living in Your Community. This particular week, it's going to be a good citizen. So we are going to discuss, obviously, the author's intention, which is Peter, his intention to help his recipients do just that, and that is be a good citizen. So let's begin by translating like we always do, and let me make note of a couple of things. And before I jump in the translation, I want to also note that I'm going to use verses 11 and 12 as its own paragraph. So today, or I should say this week, we are looking at verses 11 and 12. And then next week, I will diagram verses 11 and 12. So I just want to make you aware of that with these two verses here, that we're not going to go much further. We're just going to diagram them next week. Well, he states here, beloved, I urge or I encourage you as, and here's aliens, and you could say strangers or foreigners, to do what? Okay? To abstain from, right, the fleshly lusts which wage war against the soul. Now we're going to jump all the way to the participle, while having your conduct among the Gentiles, so that, what? So that with reference to those that accuse you as, what? As doing wrong or evildoers. Because, right? Because they have observed your good works. They may glorify God in the day of visitation. So let me again make note of some things. Your first word, or I should say the first verbal form, is parakalo. Remember that the lexical form is parakaleo. Parakaleo. But remember, when I have two vowels together, the omega, if you will, in the contracting process, the epsilon drops out, and that's why I have just the omega here with a circumflex over it to say parakalo. So it's first person singular present active indicative of parakaleo. The os here, all right, os here, introduces the role of aliens and strangers or foreigners. That is, what is that role? And that role is to abstain. And the to abstain here, here's your infinitive. It's a present middle infinitive of apeko, which really introduces the indirect discourse because it follows a verb of communication. So you could say it's a complementary infinitive because it completes the thought of the main verb, which is parakaleo. I urge you to do what? And typically a complementary infinitive completes that thought. Well, this time, because it's after a verb of communication or perception, we can see it as indirect discourse. Now we have heitenes. Wallace labels this here as qualitative, and he translates it as the very things that wage war against the soul. So the qualitative focus is basically a focus on the nature or the essence of the person or the thing that's in view. So it kind of narrows it down, if you will. What are the specific things that wage war against the soul? And that's the use here of that of this relative pronoun here. And then your last word here, all right, your verbal form here, third person plural, present middle indicative of Stratuo means to do battle. He talks about then in verse 12 your conduct that's among the Gentiles. Okay, your conduct that's among the Gentiles. That's really been that's been fronted for emphasis to basically say this is the thing that's most important, you could say, regarding the witness of you recipients before others. I really want you to pay close attention to your conduct among the Gentiles. Then the ekantes, here's your participial form, present active participle, masculine nominative plural, form of echo, probably attendant circumstance, which is why I am saying use the word while. So he's encouraging them to abstain from the fleshly lusts while also having your conduct good among the Gentiles. For what purpose? Here you go, Hina. For the purpose of what? That those who accuse you of wrongdoing, they're going to eventually step back, observe your good works, and then they will glorify God. So the en ho here, a dative of reference, you could say so that with reference to or with respect to those who accuse you of wrongdoing. And then we got a causal participle here towards the end of the verse. Present active participle, masculine nominative plural, epoptuo, again, likely causal. Why? Why do you want them to have a good conduct? Again, that they may ultimately, because they may glorify God in the day of visitation. So you have another en here, another en phrase, en hemera, episkapes, temporal. So this is a temporal usage here, and this is a with reference to use here. So plenty of dative options there. Good. Hope that's been helpful. I will diagram this next week and we'll look at it a little bit further. So a lot going on there. Apologize for the little bit of a longer video, but I think we're well on our way to look at this particular paragraph of how we live within our community. Have a great week.